Have you ever really stopped to think about what it takes to just walk across a room? I mean, it feels like the simplest thing in the world, right? But underneath your skin, there's this incredible biological machine, a whole symphony of actions, all firing in perfect time. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and look at the everyday magic of how you move. And it all starts with a simple question. Now, I know it sounds a little philosophical, but this question gets right to the heart of it. A twitch, a blink, your heart beating, those are all movements, for sure. But taking a journey, walking from point A to point B, that's something else entirely. And that is what we're going to dive into.
And here it is, the key word for today, locomotion. It's specifically the voluntary movement of your whole body from one spot to another. So get this, all locomotion is movement, but not all movement is locomotion. Your heart beating moves blood, but it isn't taking you anywhere. That's a really important distinction.
So, what's powering all this? Well, it's your muscles. They are the engines of your body. But, and this is super interesting, not all engines are built the same. Your body actually has 3 completely different types, and each one has a very specific job to do.
Okay, check this out. The big difference here is control. You consciously decide to move your skeletal muscles, right? They're voluntary. But the visceral muscles lining your organs and the cardiac muscle that makes up your heart, they just go. They're totally involuntary. You don't have to remember to digest your lunch or pump your blood, and thank goodness for that. For the rest of our time here, we're going to zero in on the star of the show, the skeletal muscle. This is the engine that's bolted to your bones, the one that powers every single step, every jump, and every journey you'll ever take. To really get how this engine works, we have to zoom in. I mean, way, way in. We're about to take a journey from the muscle you can flex in the mirror all the way down to the microscopic little bits that actually do all the heavy lifting. So I know this looks a bit complex, but the idea is actually pretty straightforward. A muscle isn't one solid thing. Think of it more like a thick electrical cable. It's a big bundle made up of smaller bundles called fascicles, and inside those are the individual muscle fibers, which are the cells. And it's all held together, wrapped up neatly in this stuff called fascia. And we're going deeper. Inside every single one of those fibers are even smaller threads called myofibrils. And if you look at them under a microscope, you see they have this striped pattern. This is what gives skeletal muscle its signature look, these alternating light and dark bands made of 2 key proteins. Now, here's the crucial part. If you look at just one repeating piece of that striped pattern, from one of these Z-lines to the next, you've found a sarcomere. This tiny, tiny segment, this is it. This is the engine in miniature, the fundamental unit that does all the work. Every ounce of force starts right here. Yep, it all comes down to this little guy, the powerhouse in miniature. The big question, though, is how? How does this tiny little structure actually shorten itself and create the force to move you? And this, my friends, is the aha moment. The answer is something called the sliding filament theory, which is just a beautifully elegant piece of biological engineering. It explains exactly how your muscles contract, right down at the molecular level. Okay, so it happens in this super fast sequence. First, a signal zaps down from your nervous system and triggers a release of calcium ions. That calcium is like a key that unlocks the thin filaments, which are called actin. This lets the heads on the thick filaments, called myosin, latch on, forming something called a cross-bridge. And then and here's what happens. Those thin actin filaments get pulled toward the center, sliding right over the thick myosin filaments. See how the whole sarcomere scrunches up? The Z-lines get closer together. Now imagine millions and millions of these doing that all at once, and boom, your entire muscle contracts. A really great way to picture this is to think of a tiny little crew team rowing a boat. Each one of those myosin heads is an oarsman. It grabs onto the actin filament, pulls, lets go, then grabs on again to pull some more. It's this constant cycle of grab, pull, release, happening thousands of times a second, that creates that smooth, powerful force. Okay, so we've got our engine, but an engine is no good without a frame to put it in, right? Your muscles need something to pull against. And that brings us to the incredible framework of our bodies, the skeletal system. 206. That's how many bones make up the skeleton of an adult human. And each one isn't just a dead piece of rock. It's a living organ, perfectly designed to support us, protect our insides, and give our muscles all the anchor points they need to do their job. Now, this whole framework is split into 2 main parts.
You've got the axial skeleton, that's your core, your skull, your spine, your ribs. And then you have the appendicular skeleton. That's everything that hangs off the core, your arms, your legs, your shoulders, your hips. Together, they make the complete structure that our amazing muscles get to move around.
We've seen just how incredible this whole musculoskeletal system really is. It's such a finely tuned machine. But, like any complex machine, sometimes things can break down.
And here are just a few examples of what can happen. You have myasthenia gravis, where the nerve signal to the muscle gets disrupted, or muscular dystrophy, which is a genetic issue that causes the muscle fibers themselves to break down. Then there's osteoporosis, where the bony framework gets weak. Whether it's the signal, the engine, or the frame itself, these conditions show us just how critical it is that every part of this machine works together perfectly.
So the next time you just get up and walk across the room, take a second to think about it. Millions of microscopic protein filaments inside trillions of cells are sliding past each other, all firing in perfect sync, orchestrated by your brain. It is a constant, breathtaking performance happening inside you at all times. And it really makes you wonder, what does it take to keep this incredible machine running?